Welcome to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Crammed. Marvel's Phase 4 continues and gives us a look at the first world geopolitical fallout of having half your population suddenly blip back into existence. Let's go. In Tunisian airspace, Sam Wilson is working for the US Air Force as the Falcon to intercept a criminal organization known as LAF that's kidnapping a military liaison called Captain Vincent. And it turns out the LAF is run by Batroc, the French-Algerian mercenary from the days of Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Falcon flies in for some close-quarters combat, making use of his armored wings and jetpack fighting techniques. But Batroc and his goons turn the kidnapping into an extreme sports event by putting on wingsuits and gliding through canyon terrain with helicopter gunship support. The Falcon, however, has claws of his own, deploying the drone Red Wing and other explosives on the mercenaries in order to take the fight back to them, giving us lots of high-speed action while Sam makes use of the suit's agility. He saves Vincent before they cross into Libyan airspace, managing to make Batroc look very silly. So he chills out with First Lieutenant Torres, who's there to provide intel during his operations. It's been 6 months since the unsnapping of Avengers Endgame, and there's all sorts of crazy theories over what really happened to Captain America. But the thing is, he's passed the shield and its responsibilities over to Sam, who, despite being an excellent soldier, does not feel right about taking up the mantle. He hangs up the shield instead to honor Steve's memory, but Rhodey the War Machine reminds him that the world is still recovering and needs heroes to look up to. Something to think on. Meanwhile, we take a look back to find Bucky Barnes is reliving a lot of his past Hydra assassinations in his nightmares, coming to terms with the damage he's done. He has to attend counseling meetings, as well as using his memories to help uncover some of the former Hydra pawns that are still out there being assholes. And he also makes amends with them, letting them know he's no longer a killer, much like the final steps of a drug addict recovery program. For some reason, his only friend is a Japanese grandpa who sets him up on a date with a cute waitress, but he grieves the death of his son, who was killed long ago when working abroad. So the next night, the young lady gets to know the 106-year-old who's a little out of touch. They discuss family like Bucky's sister over some beer, and she mentions how cute it is that he's hanging out with Yori, who never got any closure over his loss. And it turns out he's yet another name on Bucky's list of amends, being the one who killed his son, who was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. But it's still too much for him to admit. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Torres joins a meetup in Switzerland he heard about on the dark web, where a group of activists run diversion for a terrorist group called the Flag Smashers, who've just robbed a bank led by an unusually strong masked villain, something that Sam seems keen to keep an eye on. Also, Sam's sister Sarah wants to sell their parents' failing shrimp boat business because she's falling into debt and doesn't want his help. Plus, the bank won't give them an FDA loan because as far as they're concerned, being turned to ash for 5 years looks just the same as having no income. So the home life is kind of tough, and they have some stuff to work through. But that's put on hold because the Department of Defense has made the tasteless and disrespectful committee-thinking decision to hand the shield over to a brand new Captain America. So we take a look at John Walker, a US Army soldier who's got a lot of expectations on his shoulders, with a little support from his missus. He's been drilled silly through senator meetings and press briefings, and wants to do his best. So for now, he's mostly a marketing tool, just like the early days of the first Avenger, but he's a soldier with 3 medals of honor whose physical training may not be super strength, but is far above human average. He seems like a good guy, even if the ex-girlfriend club is feeling moody. Bucky is angry at Sam for giving up the shield, but the Falcon is busy looking into the Flag Smashers, so they both fly over to Germany and try to out-macho each other with stupid displays to prove which one of them really loved Steve Rogers the most. They locate the enhanced group who is on the move, and Bucky sprints in for a look at the medical cargo. But the Flag Smashers are able to keep pace with the White Wolf of Wakanda, and even break Red Wing. But the new Captain America and his boyfriend drop in to offer support, leaving everyone feeling a little conflicted. The fight doesn't go well, however, and the enhanced strength terrorists are on some kind of super serum, and the X's have to bail. And although John Walker keeps an eye out for his friends, they too are repelled. and everyone gets an uncomfortable lift back to the airport. JW wants some respect. His job is to help the Global Repatriation Council get the displaced, unsnapping refugees back on their feet and into the system, which is why they're trying to stop the flag smashers, who would prefer a return to anarchy. But Sam isn't looking to join forces, and Bucky straight up wants to take the shield back from them. They head over to Baltimore, where Bucky meets an old enemy of his from the Korean War called Isaiah, a man who's managed to fend the Hydra assassin off back in the day, because it turns out the US had made other quiet attempts at super soldiers. But back then they locked up Isaiah after his mission instead of praising him, and instead victimized him with years of experimenting in prison, making Sam furious. But Bucky is arrested before they can investigate further for missing one of his government-mandated therapy sessions. So, as part of the bail, hosted by JW, they get to attend a couples therapy session, where Dr. Kramer tells them to get in close and speak their truth. You see, if Steve trusted Sam with the shield, and he was wrong about that, then maybe Steve was also wrong about believing in Bucky. But the shield is none of his business, and they both feel awful. Outside, the new captain and his mate Omar are still super keen to be friends, but he finally gets the hint from Bucky that it's not gonna happen. John Walker is a government agent who has to follow their rules, something Steve fought against during Civil War, unlike Bucky and Sam, who get to act a bit more flexibly as free agents. Meanwhile, the flag smashers, led by Carly Morganthau, make it to a safe house, because it seems there are a lot of people in the world who believe in their cause, seeing them as freedom fighters who experience the whole world as being finally unified after the horror of Thanos' snapping, and view the Global Repatriation Council as being just another system designed to keep people divided again and return the previous corrupt leaders back to their positions of power. But she might be on the run from a third party. They remain on the move with their cargo and manage to escape the authorities once more, thanks to one of their members who sacrifices himself for his ideals, and in order to give the rest of them time to fly away. And short of any other leads regarding the Super Soldier program, Falcon and the Winter Soldier go to meet with the one man who was responsible for successfully breaking the Avengers apart back in Phase 3. Former Sokovian intelligence officer, Helmut Zemo. Well, it looks like 7 years of good behavior has gotten Zemo downgraded to a medium security prison since Civil War, and Bucky talks to him alone. Helmut only used the Winter Soldier as a means to an end, but the news that there's more super soldiers out in the world again disturbs him too. So, willing to break the rules for some more info, Bucky helps create a distraction by starting a prison riot and provides Zemo with what he needs to escape on his own, much to Sam's surprise. But they will be keeping him on a tight leash. Meanwhile, John Walker is 2 steps behind everything and treated like a joke by those loyal to the flag smashers, so decides instead to just keep an eye on what Sam and Bucky get up to. Zemo is a baron as well as a former intelligence officer, and has access to resources like his old combat gear and a private jet. He takes an interest in Bucky's list of names, which is not appreciated, and both the younger men give Barnes a hard time for not loving Marvin Gaye. Helmut is flying them to Majidipur, a kind of lawless island nation near Indonesia that's a haven for those keeping off the grid. In order to blend in, Sam is posing as the smiling tiger, and Bucky pretends to be his old Winter Soldier self. Under Zemo's control, the low-town underworld is run by the Power Broker, the same person who's also chasing down the Flag Smashers, but they're here to see someone called Selby. And after a little bit of public Hydra assassin flexing by Bucky to prove that they're cool enough to hang out, they get a face-to-face. Selby knows the location of the scientist that was last working on the super soldier serum, but Sam gets a loudspeaker call from his sister that blows their cover just before Selby is killed by a sniper. The boys escape under gunfire to discover that their retreat is being covered by former SHIELD Agent 13, Sharon Carter. Unlike the ex-boyfriend club, she never handed herself in after Civil War to receive a pardon. and has been selling stolen art on the black market and hosting private parties ever since. So Sam offers to help her get her name cleared in return for some assistance, despite her jaded outlook, and she takes them to the Madripoor dockyards, to the secret laboratory of Dr. Wilfred Nagel. After Hydra fell, he was picked up by the CIA to optimize the super soldier serum using the blood samples taken from Isaiah. And he then ended up here, where he made 20 complete samples for the power broker, before they were stolen by Carly Morgenthau's flag smashers. Meanwhile, the whole time that they're getting this information, Sharon Carter is outside stopping bounty hunters sent by the power broker from interfering, by striking them with hit-and-run combat techniques and aggressive takedowns. But Zemo continues his own agenda by suddenly killing the scientist, just before the power broker's men up their game and blow up the lab. So the team starts shooting their way out of the situation, and Baron Zemo takes on his comic book look for a moment before finishing off the attackers and stealing a nice car. Sharon's not going with them, however, as she has her own things to do, and the boys fly out to a safe house. Meanwhile, the flag smashers are continuing to raid the Global Repatriation Council supply depots that are stockpiling months' worth of medicine and food in order to actually hand it out to the displaced refugees. They were former mob security members from Madripoor before injecting themselves with the serum they stole and taking on the Robin Hood mantle to help those in the camps. Except that Carly is willing to go the extra step and also kill people in order to send a clear message. And as they head to a safe house, the White Wolf stops to take a walk around the area because he spotted some familiar surveillance technology and takes a moment to say hello to one of the royal guards from Wakanda, who have come for Zemo, the man who blew up their former king. You see, 6 years ago after Civil War, the Wakandans helped remove the Winter Soldier trigger words from Bucky's conditioning, allowing him a personal freedom he had not had for most of his life. So he kind of owes them an explanation, and Io gives him 8 hours before they come for Zemo, who believes that Carly Morgenthau cannot be reasoned with, and that those who pursue the use of super soldier serum will always have a strain of ideological supremacy in them. Although the key members don't seem super stoked about their murderous actions so far. Carly had tried to get the dead Dr. Nagel to help save the life of a GRC camp community leader called Donya, and the boys pop over to the refugee camp to find some clues. The internationally displaced, however, give them the cold shoulder, despite knowing who Sam is. But Zemo proves the age-old method of using sweets to lure in children, but to get the details of Donya's upcoming funeral. But he keeps the details to himself in order to remain useful, while Sam calls Sharon, who offers to monitor some surveillance satellites over the area in a bid to find Carly and stop the power broker from turning Madripoor into a war zone. She plans to use the last of the serum to make some more super soldiers to join her ranks. But first, they're going to a funeral. JW catches up with the boys and is surprised to discover that Sam wants to try talking to Carly alone first to see if she can be reasoned with, thanks to Zemo's lead. And Captain America 2 gives him 10 minutes to try things his way without making a scene. Sam can relate to Carly's frustration and outlook, but doesn't believe that a truly better world can come from killing people, just a different one. But the stress of sitting patiently is kind of getting under JW's skin and giving him an itchy trigger finger, causing Bucky to realize that he might be on the slow road to a nervous breakdown. So Sam's peaceful negotiations are ended early, and Carly makes her escape with the serum, only to be headed off by Zemo. He's still intent on ridding the world of super soldiers, and smashes all of the serum without hesitation. But he's knocked out by John Walker, who finds one surviving dose, which quietly gives him an erection. And back at the safe house, he's also throwing ego tantrums and trying to start fights, just in time for the Dora Milaje to join the conversation who've come for Zemo. And despite a friendly warning, the captain is keen to exercise his authority over anyone he can in order to feel in control. This was a mistake, as the highly trained Wakandan elite beat down the moody boys as well as Bucky and Sam, who only step in to make sure no one gets killed, and it's time for a privilege check all round, as the ladies remove the African technology that the American boys had gotten used to treating as their own. But this distraction allows Zemo to escape. JW is bummed out at getting a slapdown, instead of just being America #1, and talks himself into taking that dose of super soldier serum off screen, instead of just having a shave and taking a moment to chill. So when Carly executes a new plan to lure Sam and Bucky away for another face-to-face meeting, thanks to a threatening phone call to Sam's sister, it means that the rest of the Flag Smashers can kidnap Lamar and make good on their attempts to kill the new Captain America. Thankfully, Sharon Carter phones in everyone's location from the satellite tracking, and this leads to a Royal Rumble, where Bucky and Sam use their various skills to give a little payback to the crew that threw them off of moving trucks. Whilst the now dosed up Captain America has clearly become more than they were planning to chew on, helping to bring the fight right back to the Flag Smashers. However, they focus in on their one target, and Carly jumps in for the killing blow. But Lamar had escaped his bonds and leaps in for a save that causes Carly to punch him clean into the next life, stunning everyone. And having killed the wrong man, the revolutionaries make a run for it. But the enraged Captain America chases one of the Flag Smashers down and uses the shield to violently execute the man as he publicly begged for his life, covering it in blood and killing his public image. Captain America literally runs away from his problems, but Sam and Bucky call it as it is. Walker is no longer in a fit state to carry the shield, so they try to talk him down, but his insecurities as well as his strengths have been increased by the serum, and he's seeing enemies in every corner. Each one of these men is a trained super agent with years of experience, using their techniques and equipment to outfight each other. The boys are going for the shield, but John Walker seems to be going for the kill. And he rips off the Falcon's wings before the boys work together to dislocate John's arm as they tear the shield off him, before finishing business with a WWF takedown combo. Bucky has been telling Sam since day one that this needed to happen, long before people got hurt, and long before the legacy of his best friend became tainted in blood. Back in Washington, the council strips Walker of his Captain America status and discharge him from the military. But JW is sick of them all. He's dedicated his whole life to live by their mandates and become Captain America, only to be thrown under the bus. And so he walks out on the hearing. His wife offers support, but they're interrupted by the mysterious Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, also known as the Veep, who seems to represent a group that thinks he did the right thing and consider him a valuable asset for now having that serum in his blood. He pays his respect to Lamar's grieving family and tells a different version of events, where the man he killed was the one directly responsible for his friend's death. Bucky catches up to Zemo back in Sokovia by the memorial for those lost to Ultron. He's done running away, but reminds the Winter Soldier that the only way to stop Carly now is to kill her. However, the White Wolf has grown to be more than just a killer, and the Dora Milaje take him away. Sam might have the shield, but he's unresolved about what it represents, and he goes back to visit Isaiah, who won't even look at it. He was a rare, successful test subject of the super soldier serum, but too black for America to consider as a hero. So instead he was appallingly experimented on and locked up for 30 years, while the government told the world he was dead. The dark history of the Captain America program that was kept quiet all this time. He then returns home and focuses on fixing the family boat with his sister, calling in favours from everyone that their parents had helped out over the years, and the community comes together to do some good. Bucky visits as well, with a present he got from the Wakandans. Some hard work and simpler problems to solve does everyone some good, and they eventually come to communicate with each other openly. Sam is starting to train with the shield, but as a black American, the legacy of it is complicated, something that Bucky hadn't considered when he was being angry at Sam for not accepting it in the first place. And Sam counsels Bucky to stop placing his own self-worth in Steve Rogers' opinion of him, and to go put things right for the other people on his list, and ultimately for himself. And the two partners finally see each other as friends. The Global Repatriation Council have shut down the Latvian refugee camp in response to the Flag Smashers and want to push a vote on the Patch Act, which would close international borders again and deport 20 million refugees out of the various countries that had previously welcomed them in with open arms for the last 5 years. Basically saying thanks for helping to keep our economies and infrastructure going after Thanos' snapping, but now that everyone is back, we don't need you anymore, so please just go away. And over in Madripoor, Sharon Carter seems to be playing both sides, as she acts as a fixer to help the Flag Smashers also hire Batroc, who's not actually interested in their cause, but is keen to kill the Falcon. So during the vote at the GRC HQ, the Flag Smashers, who have plenty of sympathizers to their cause, make their next move. And also, John Walker is just making his own Captain America cosplay. The GDC building is surrounded by law enforcement, and even Sharon Carter has entered the country undercover to offer support, while the Flag Smashers inside the building start causing trouble. Thankfully, that present Sam got turns out to be a new top-of-the-range flight suit, and he crashes in to fight the terrorists as the new, true Captain America. The Flag Smashers want the evacuation to continue, however, as they have taken control of the evac helicopter that's now full of council members, while the rest of the GDC gets locked into the armoured trucks that they hope will get them out safely. Bucky chases them down on bike, while Sharon tags a disguised Flag Smasher with a mercury vapor bomb that kills him horribly. Meanwhile, Batroc gets to have his round 2 with Sam, who's been putting his shield training to good use to integrate it into his fighting style, along with the flight suit. However, he also knows to prioritise the hostages over a dick measuring session, and bails on Batroc to chase down the hijacked helicopter, all while keeping an eye on other civilians along the way, and his new armoured wings help to make a formidable shell against heavy debris, and even work underwater thanks to that Wakandan technology. So, connecting with the comms of one of the council member hostages who has some former pilot training, he lets her know it's time to take the stick, as he shield slices the cockpit's door and precision body slams the Flag Smasher clean out the other side. Well done for being involved. Carly, in the meantime, decides that they may have to just kill the hostages to send their one world message, and even die for the cause, which is met with lukewarm enthusiasm from everyone else. So they intercept the ground-level GDC evacuees to take as hostages, but Bucky bikes in with a body slam of his own before Carly sets one of the trucks on fire in order to keep the Winter Soldier occupied. However, John Walker, Cosplay America, has arrived to avenge his friend, and once Bucky gets the hostages out of danger, they both move in to fight the Terrys. He gets knocked down into a lower construction site to continue his battle, while JW methodically and angrily beats the rest of them down. So Carly tries to drive the remaining hostage van over the edge to at least kill some of the council. And even after everything, when faced with the choice, John Walker turns away from the fight and uses his super strength to pull the van back to safety, even as the others try to stop him. And with some help from the new Captain America and his Red Wing drones, they succeed. The last of the Flag Smashers are starting to look like they're in over their heads, and the new look Captain America and friends have had enough of their shit. So they split up and make a run for it after Batroc covers their escape, only for Carly to run into Sharon Carter, or as she knows her, the Power Broker. Sharon has this whole time been the one controlling Madripoor and forcing production of the new serum before hunting down the Flag Smashers for stealing it. Batroc joins in for a cheeky standoff that results in Sharon killing him, while also being shot by Carly. Sam arrives having missed this minor revelation, however, and takes on Carly head-to-head. Despite everything, he's still trying to talk her down from the fight, and keeps on defense against her strength. But Carly now views him as another person who's just bought into the great lie, and is about to shoot Sam before Sharon kills her. Regardless of the serum, she was essentially an angry kid with a cause that she believed in. And Sam publicly faces the Global Repatriation Council with a 5-minute speech about the impact they're about to have on those refugees. He can't change the fact that there will always be people out there hating him for having the shield. But he believes that people can be better, imploring and shaming the senators into making better choices, before flying off to help clean up any stragglers. Bucky and JW had arrested the rest of them, but en route to prison, the last of the flag smashers are killed in a car bomb explosion set by Helmut Zemo's butler. His final step complete in keeping radicalized super terrorists off the map. And back in DC, the Veep has rebranded John Walker for all of his good work, away from the Captain America ideal, because what the government might really need when things get weird is a US agent. While over in the next room, thanks to Sam's promise, the GDC senator offers Sharon Carter a full pardon and welcomes her home, unwittingly allowing the power broker of the criminal underworld back into a position of government secrets and prototype weapons for her to sell as she sees fit. Oh my god. And so it's time for resolutions all round. Bucky bites the bullet and explains to his old grandpa drinking buddy that he was the one who killed the man's son back in the days of being a Hydra agent, giving him closure and sending the completed list of amends back to his counselor, while Sam takes Isaiah to the Captain America exhibit, where he's had the true history of Isaiah's part in the Super Soldier program added to the records, so that America doesn't forget, and finally honoring the man. And thanks to that shrimp boat, everyone gets a food-filled party where Bucky finds himself fitting in with the community, and the two boys can finally relax and enjoy themselves. Are they seeing each other now? So thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed having the Falcon and the Winter Soldier crammed inside of you. Putting these together takes ages, so thanks for all the comments and feedback. I read them all. And if you found this video to be useful, then hey, that's great. Oh, no, wait, click the